Welcome back to Trekyards, everybody. I am Captain Foley.
He's Captain Foley, and I'm Connor Coggins.
So you feel it there. And today we're here to talk about some temporal shenanigans. More importantly,
That's who you did there.
Tcars,
That's funny.
Temporal Computer Access Retrieval System, as opposed to the Lcars, which is the Library Computer Access Retrieval System. But what are Tcars, you ask? Well, Sam is going to tell you right now.
I mean, you say that as if we all should know, and we should all know if we like Star Trek, and if we like the temporal side of Trek. And there's a lot of temporal stuff in Trek. There's the confusing stuff, like the temporal Cold War. There should be straightforward stuff, like the Time Cops, the 29th century relativity-bound people who protect the timeline. Where are they at every other timeline shenanigan situation? Don't ask.
In the background.
They're always there. Anyway, in Voyager, we see the 20th century time cops appear, and they have a bridge, and they have uniforms, and they have a pretty fleshed out look. And as part of that, they developed this new style of Lcars, affectionately known as Tcars. And in Stranger Worlds, of course, they have a time travel story, which could be any version of any time travel group. There is entirely that flexibility in the canon. Here is the chap in a modern day suit popping out, and then Bosch. I'm sad we saw it in a pre-release thumbnail trailer thing, because it would have been nice to see it on the day. But hey, I mean, it was the same graphic, but the Tcars are back from a very 60s looking prop. On the top is Stranger Worlds 2023, on the bottom is Voyager 1998, something like that. Stuart, thoughts, comments, questions?
I have no questions. But my thoughts are, I really love the prop that they used for the temporal device. It was very 1960s, definitely something you would see in TOS. Simplistic, and I thought that was fantastic. To actually have the Tcars pop up, though, I was like, oh, okay, now I like this, because all you got to do is use what's there, use the Canon that's available, and it's not like it was focused on too heavily. I mean, when she leaves at the end, I love how you see like everything like lining back up, and like it was actually well done. It wasn't just a cut and paste of what they had before.
I didn't even catch that. That's good. I didn't. I was too focused on other things after we rewatched that. Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been asking this whole time, where are these guys? Because they should be showing up and are fixing multiple problems that have arisen. Yes, they can't really, go too overboard. They can't make themselves known. I get it. But it seems like,
Unless there are bullets involved, of course.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. So it was great to have them come back and just know that they're out there doing things. And you can take it with a grain of salt that some situations have to happen. That's why they don't get involved, or maybe they influence those to make that happen. There's a whole bunch of stories you could tell about the temporal police, essentially, to make sense of what their lack of presence, even though they're probably always there. So I really love this, that, they needed La'an specifically because of her genetics, and just stumble onto the Enterprise and, hey, how's it going? I'm dying. Here, take this. Bye-bye. So I really enjoyed the whole idea, the whole concept, and just tying in this one visual just twice in the episode for like a couple seconds is all they needed to do, and it was great.
And to me, it does not look visually updated.
No, it doesn't.
Like, this looks like an entirely one-to-one. Like, once I found these graphics, shockingly one-to-one. To the point of there we go, here's the graphic. Which is kind of confusing to see in Stranger Worlds, which is by definition a visual update show. Look at the uniforms, look at the sets, look at the props. It's almost all visual update, pushing past what went before and doing its own thing. It was actually kind of strange to see actual canon. Like, I was almost expecting it to be some more fancy version of Stranger Worlds continuity, but this is kind of a confusing note. Now, obviously, they could have made a joke within the episode of the lady at the end, saying this timeline itself is different. She could have looked to the prop, looked to the set and say, oh, this is, you could have made a double joke, because of course this sort of grounds it even further in the prime timeline, because of course if she's here from the future and she's on the TOS Enterprise almost and doesn't think it looks weird, well, she should know. But of course, the door. But of course, this is could just be the version of this, because the further you get away from a divergence point, the higher the possibility of things resetting back to where they were. if the timeline wants to be a certain way, which they literally said in this episode they want it to be. So it makes sense. Even a Stranger Worlds Discoveryverse version might end up in the same place, etc. At the end. But like I said, I was shocked to see it. It's for me, a really beautiful Lcars style. It's sleek. It's clearly Lcars. It's got such a unique visual language. I love that there's deltas in the panels, but it's not like they are deltas, but they're not with the buttons that you see down below. It just feels like because we know there are those shapes in TNG. They've just given a bit more flow. It does something really special. I've always really, really liked this design. And so to see it was a real breath of fresh air. Of course, I wish we had a little bit more, a relativity badge, a relativity tricorder. There were reasons for all of it not to be included. But certainly it would have been, can you imagine at the end if she had beamed out and you had a quick LED wall shot of the guy from the episode, Commander... Imagine if she beams out at the end and there's a quick LED wall shot of Duquesne in uniform again, now obviously older, and there's just a quick shot of him saying, how's the mission? Successful. She says successful, and he said, well, maybe we need to look at La'an for future endeavours. Cut. Like, that sort of ending would have been a mic drop moment, right?
I was just going to say that. How many times are people drawn into Section 31? They know about it. Nobody else can hear about it. But then they come back and use them again. It's entirely possible that La'an is going to be, recruited by them again for a specific mission because she knows what's going on. She was told not to tell anybody else in this time. But,
And they would know very quickly if she does because the timeline would change. So once they know she can be trusted, because it's a big old trust thing, especially as Temporal investigations don't exist yet. Like, it's so far in the past, the basis of what they're there for hasn't even been set up. But I mean, that would have been obviously too much to ask for, of course. But boy, that would have been... talk about the most mikiest of droppiest moments possible, right?
Well, you'd think they would have some kind of neural neutralizer like the Men in Black, like this. Because honestly, like I said in our review, they don't care about mental health very much. They should be sending a temporal psychiatrist back to talk to La'an on like a semi-regular basis to deal with things she dealt with.
A T-Psy.
Yeah, T-Psy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that was pretty traumatic for her, as we saw at the end of the episode.
Yes, we did.
And she can't talk to anybody about it in this timeline. So she just opened herself up finally to somebody, and she lost them, and now she can't even deal with it in a healthy way. So yeah, they need to get a flashy thing, or they need to actually have a program to help people. Well,
like I say, there's something oddly satisfying about if they let her know and nothing changes, then she can be trusted, and that's the biggest test. If she does tell people, she can beam back in and wipe her memory. So it's worth just testing, and then you can use her again. And I think this feels like a tiniest of setup. This isn't like the end of season 1 where they use another future. Boy, they're using the canon. I mean, good, Wrath of Khan him, right? All sorts of time travel nonsense in Stranger Worlds. They're having fun, which is great. But this is actually full logical canon, whatever. I mean, bring her back. This feels very appropriate for a future something. And clearly if people respond well to it, this is great.
This is one of those threads they could leave as is, or they can pick up at any other time, pardon the pun, and use to craft a new story. So,
I mean, even if, and let's be honest, because they're making odd precedents here. Like I said, we saw Wrath of Khan-ish, we saw this. Imagine if La'an is brought into the TNG era. And, I mean, bloody hell, we've got Lower Decks, so they are doing crazy, wacky stuff that you would be like, damn, okay. So imagine if they take her to TNG, and you just see TNG uniforms back, you could do that now. There's this giant precedent, so this actually excites me. And like I said, with Lower Decks as well, the crossover, I mean, they're doing, honestly, what the Trek fandom is kind of eager for, and not in a way that's obnoxious, because of course they could have gone too much this episode. They go just enough, but it's there,
Yeah. Well, the focus on that watch at the end, where that's the final thing we see, and opens it up that it's going to be important again at some point, maybe.
What's a remnant of a dead timeline? And not just that, but I was kind of expecting to phase out or something kind of cool at the end. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, boy, starting the La'an Kirk romance subplot, it's like, but there can't be one, but maybe they can be. please. But anyway, Stuart, next shot is... Now, this is obviously Temporal Investigation's new agent. The clarification of what, who, where she is strained. But let's do a brief comparison. Here is the other Temporal Investigations team, because she does not say she's part of Relativity or a Time Cop. There is not. So this is the first comparison shot. The only two examples we have of Temporal Investigation, except they can't time travel, she can. Any thoughts? Any connection? What do you think?
We don't know if they can time travel, to be fair, but
well, we don't know, but
yeah. Yeah, her saying Temporal Investigations was interesting to me. She didn't say, time cops or time police or whatever they refer to themselves as. So I thought it was interesting. I immediately thought of these two guys because, it's the only other time we see them. These guys are kind of goofy and wacky and, kind of a comedic duo. But you never know. I love when it's like, oh, you got visitors from Temporal Investigations. It's like, oh, no.
Yep.
Because, when you hear that, you're in some serious trouble. But yeah, I love how she says that we don't even exist yet. So Lon would have no idea because Lon says, am I supposed to know what that is? Which is interesting. I thought the plain gray uniform worked and very business-like. She seems like a manager or like one of the, higher ups. So I think it works and it ties kind of in with theirs, I guess.
It's funny, I look at her outfit and I think two things. One, I think the giant high turtleneck a la Picard Season 2, because I got one very similar, and I also thought, is that section Discovery Season 3 uniform, because they like their future greys. Like, that could be right out of Season 3.
It kind of looks like what Arn Darvin was wearing as well in Trials and Tribulations. He had kind of like just a gray suit, so... Or the Trouble with Tribbles, I mean, like the TOS one. So,
but that's the thing. She's actually doing the smart, which is let's not wear anything that tells her anything. So this is very appropriate, right? It actually works super well. I do actually see a slight parallel to these two costumes. I'll be honest. There's a certain formality between the two. There's no direct parallels. And I kind of wish they'd put the lines in. That would have been the subtlest of nods, just to kind of. I mean, it's odd to say fashion extends this way in the future, but it would have been kind of fun to see. I could see these in the same wardrobe, right? Between these two costumes being sort of generic formal. But there is a certain link. And if you're the next one, which now in time order, comparing with another time agent, Daniels, of course, in his formal, informal uniform, meaning we don't know if this is the actual uniform, this is just the thing he wears. He's a time agent, not a time cop. Slight distinction, because Relativity team are full uniformed officers. He's more weird. I don't know if there's a direct 3 for parallel, but this is the 3 time agents we see. Any thoughts on the 3 comparison? And this is in time order.
I always thought his suit was special, like it protected him from any changes in the timeline. Just the way it's designed, it doesn't seem like just a piece of like a garment. It seems like something techie. And I actually love how it ties in with the Temporal Investigations from DS9. I never actually considered or saw that before, that with the stripes, but that's actually quite interesting. Having seen them side by side now, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if they did that deliberately. I don't think so, but...
Yeah, why would you ever compare them? But bloody hell, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not even, And wouldn't that be the most amazing thing if they had, prototype temporal... effect nullifiers as part of the DS9 team, woven into their suits. Then it gets really, really high tech. I guess the only thing is the high collar-ish. All 3 have kind of high collars. That is it. But it would have been nice to pull the. Now I'm just saying the lines. Just a line pattern would have been all you need to do. This would have been a beautiful 3-fer. But there you go, Stuart. There you go. Tcars and T officers. Really good.
Temporal stuff. It's just the temporal stuff.
It's really good. Another really, really good, guys. Nothing to complain about at all.
Yeah. So you guys have anything you want to add to our discussion on this stuff? By all means, throw it in the comment section down below. We really like to hear from you guys. Also, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you can join us for lives where we talk about this stuff and so much more.
And if you want to support what we do, because we do need that support, Patreon is a great way. It is monthly. Join the channel also monthly. That's the YouTube and the join button. There are tiers, there are perks. Support us if you can. Or one-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is the PayPal. Or you can super chat on any of our lives, like these episode reviews, like TNG reviews, like DS9 reviews, any of the things we do. Support us if you can, if you're able. And a super thanks. That's literally the entire back catalogue of Trekyards, which is a giant back catalogue. Any support, anywhere, makes a difference. Thanks in advance. And we will see you next time on a live, and you will see us next time on any of our many videos. Or in the past. Time Travel Stuart. Go back to episode 6 and watch that.
Exactly. So until next time, guys, pardon the pun, whenever that is, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Adam Foley.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.